What's going on, ladies and gents? It's your boy Neosynthesis, and I'm actually coming at you guys with an updated deck list for the Zoodiac that I have been and will be playing for the Xyz Festival. So a lot of you guys probably don't know, but there is an adjusted list basically for the XYZ Festival that just bans every XYZ or every Fusion, Synchro, Link. I think that's it. And then it bans a lot of archetypes that are really good without needing to go into the extra. So like Guru's banned, Eldritch is banned, the True Draco cards are also banned. So pretty much you're left with the standard stuff that I thought was going to be good outside of those kind of cheese strategies, which is like this deck, Zoodiac, which I think is really strong. And then there's also a cheesy burn deck out there, but I've actually run into a lot of it, but I haven't lost to it yet because I'm actually running like a lot of cards that are particularly interesting versus that burn deck. You can if you draw one of your spell trap removals, you can usually get over it. But without any further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and get to the card for card. I'm gonna do it a little differently this time. I'm gonna talk about the engine first, and then we'll go to the tech stuff later. Okay, so we're running triple Thoroughblade, triple Ram, triple Whiptail, and one Bunny Blast. So all of the standard Zoo stuff is still true. So like that regular old Thoroughblade discard Ram play where we go into the Chakanine and resummon the Ram so that we can pop it with the Trident. And then make the Utopic Future. That's still a play we like to do. That's like our best turn one play. Yeah, so that has not changed at all. We don't really play we don't play any links in our deck, obviously, because it's the XYZ Festival, right? The only link we did play was the Earth Charmer, but we've just replaced that with a third copy of Chakanine. Chakanine, excuse me, I do that every time. So yeah, we're running the standard, like, quote-unquote, I like to call it like the 13 zoos, right? Because we get the 10 actual Zoodiac monsters and then the triple 10 key as well to make sure that we can tutor out as many cards as we can. I guess I should probably explain the zoo effects for those of you guys who don't know them. If Thoroughblade's normal summon, this is the only one that has like an effect when it's summoned. We can discard a zoo card and draw one card. So we play a decent amount of the zoos. It's best to discard the Ram to do the effect that I just mentioned. And then the effect that I mentioned with Ram that you can get when it's destroyed by a battle card effect is that we can resummon a Zoodiac monster from our graveyard. So that is quite strong and quite good to do. It's best to trigger it yourself with your Trident. Sometimes you can get your opponent to trigger it, maybe in a situation where you're like setting and you're just trying to survive, but you're likely not going to be able to win a game like that. It's neither here nor there, really, honestly, but yeah. And then the secondary effect of Ram is that when this card is XYZ material on a Beast Warrior, if a trap card targets the card this card's attached to, you can attach one XYZ material, negate, and yeah, just negate it. Negate and destroy. Yeah, just negate the activation. Do not negate and destroy. So, just so you guys know. And then Whiptail. Whiptail just has the quick effect when it's either on the field or in the hand that it can attach itself to a Beast Warrior XYZ. Sorry, I was gonna say Zoo, but I didn't think that was right. And then if this card is XYZ material on another on a Zoo XYZ, or maybe it's just a Beast Warrior XYZ. It is just Beast Warrior XYZ. It gains the effect that any card that it battles is banished after the damage calculation is complete, which is still a very useful effect even in a format like this. And then it has that OTK potential as well, right? Because we can slap up to 3 Whiptails onto a single Zoo card, and then you guys probably all know how the Zoo XYZs work. They gain the stats of all the Zoo monsters that are under them, so we can add up to 3,600 with 3 Whiptails, which can a lot of the time find us in game. And then one Bunny Blast. Bunny Blast is just really like an extra Zoo. We don't want to run Bunny Blast, but there's just not that many zoos that are still legal. So this is like the 10th best zoo that we can run. Essentially, it's the same effect as Ram, except for you just add the card back to your hand instead of special summoning it, right? So obviously, same amount of setup, but with a much lower payoff, so it's not quite as good. Yeah, and then it's the same kind of material effect that it essentially can negate a spell that targets it, so not very good. And then I forgot to mention the material effect you get from Thoroughblade, which is just the ability to do piercing battle damage. So not too complex. I already mentioned 3 Tenki, but we just love searching our zoos out. It's completely vital for us to find a zoo, so we want to play a good ratio of them, a good number, and then, yeah, this being any zoo means that Tenki is the best card pretty much to draw out of any of the Zoodiacs. Yeah, I feel like I don't really need to say much more. We run Triple Pot of Desires. This deck doesn't really have any hard engine requirements within it, right? So if we banish any particular cards, as long as we're not banishing like every single one of our Zoodiacs, which has happened to me in the past, we can play the game, which is why Desires is like uniquely insanely strong in this deck. Also, there's no Extravagance or Prosperity in this format, which just makes this like the best draw spell, like bar none. I mean, there's stuff like Upstart Goblin is I think actually pretty good in this format. I think just it's only good because there's just not, I think the format's very ill-defined right now. So, you know, sometimes you're running cards that are good in some matchups, but not good in all matchups, and, you know, perhaps running less cards is the correct thing to do in this format, and, you know, more consistency is pretty much always better in a format where, like, a lot of stuff is banned, right? A lot of control decks are not able to be played, and I'd really like to see kind of, what the format is going to shape up to be. I think that Zoo is probably the strongest deck that's not Burn, but I guess that's neither here nor there. So, and then we just run one Monster Reborn as our last, like, quote-unquote engine card. It's just great in this deck to be able to resummon any Zoo monster, to be able to, you know, make an XYZ or make Zeus or, you know, overlay into F-Zero if we can make that happen. And then there's also the niche application of resurrecting your opponent's Trident, making it so that they can't like get it back with Chalkanine and like reload it with Tiger Mortar, which is really, really good. Like if you can get their Trident under an F-Zero, that is something you definitely want to do, and I've done that a few times. So I would say Monster Reborn is definitely a a must run in this deck. And it's not Monster Reborn's not very good generally, but in this deck it's actually great. So we are down for the Monster Reborn. And then I'm sure you guys already can see, but I'll just run through the hand traps real quick. Triple Ash, Triple Maxi, I talk about it every video. These cards are just the best in the format. We run Triple Imperm. I like Imperm right now because XYZs like inherently require investment, right? Like if you make an XYZ, it's not like making a Link where it's just kind of comes out of nowhere. And well, sometimes the Zoo XYZs feel like they're coming out of nowhere, but oftentimes Imperm can be a vital way to stop either, you know, your opponent's combo or just like make it so that they can't get over something, saving, you know, your F-Zero negate for something else down the line. Imperm is just really strong, and it's good going first or going second. It's okay going first or going second, right? But I just think Imperm is slightly stronger than the last hand trap we're running, Nibiru, just because I don't think there's that much spam summoning in the format right now. I think it's a lot more controlled, right? Obviously, Zoo is a deck that will special summon 5 times, but you can play around Nibiru and Zoo for sure, and especially if you're in like a mid-range mirror match, you can always typically avoid summoning 5 times and putting yourself in like a jeopardy of being Nibiru'd. Alright, I think that's it for the hand traps. So, as you guys can already see, we're running an absolute ton of, quote-unquote, like, going second cards into back row. I just think that this format is going to be absolutely dominated by back row decks, at least for the first week or so, until the metagame stabilizes out. So we're running the one Duster, the Triple Lightning Storm, just for really the Duster effect into set 5 turns. 3 Twin Twisters, very much the same reason. Oftentimes you're going to have cards that you don't mind discarding. Usually you can discard something, maybe be it a dead hand trap, a dead My Body, a dead Nibiru, whatever it is, into a set 5 board. Just having more Spell and Trap you know, answers to people setting a bunch of back row is just super, super vital. I'm still running the one Forbidden Droplet in my deck just because I think that I don't really know what the format's gonna completely bear. I don't know if there's like a good Rongo Mini-Ad deck out there. I really just am not sure. Like, there might be a rank 9 deck that can make VFD that doesn't need to be VW. I certainly do not know. And I just want to have one Droplet in my deck so that if I like maxi somebody, like, I know that they can't make like a completely unbeatable board if they special summon 30 times, because I'll have a Forbidden Droplet in my deck. So yeah, I'm just running the one. This might go up. Like, I could see myself in the future definitely running like 2 Twin Twister, 2 Droplet. But for right now, we're just running the 1 Droplet because I'm just not running into too many situations where I am really desperate for it. And then for like our final tech card, I guess I'll talk about Call by the Grave. It's just pretty obvious, right? We like to negate hand traps. Really is like the number one thing. This card actually might be one of the ones to come out because there's no Eldritch in the format, but we shall see. Maybe Crossout is slightly better in this format because of just how limited everything is, right? So I'll probably come out with an updated list later on after I do more testing, but I think I played like 10 games with this. I don't think I've dropped one yet. So yeah, I think this list is pretty sound. And then I guess the last card I will talk about is My Body as a Shield. This card is specifically good in the Zoo Mirror match. So what My Body as a Shield does is when your opponent activates a spell trap card or monster effect that would destroy a monster on the field, pay 1,500 life points, negate that activation if you do destroy it. So, you know, if they like Lightning Storm your board for monsters, or they like Raigeki you, or they hit you with a Zoodiac Trident, like coming out on the board and trying to like pop your monster, like you can My Body's a Shield, negate that. 1,500 life points is definitely worth it. And yeah, we can destroy it. So potentially, I could see a situation where you'd want to have like Solemn Judgment in your deck instead of this. So you could, you could do that. I wouldn't mind putting more traps in this deck. I just personally am not a huge fan. And the advantage of My Body's a Shield over Solemn Judgment is that if we're going second, My Body's a Shield is a live card in our hand. So if they set up a Dryden or whatever, and we normal summon our Whiptail or whatever zoo we have in our hand, and they just try to pop it, we can chain My Body's a Shield from our hand, stop that, destroy their Trident, and keep our board presence, which is super, super, super sick in the mirror match. And this is like technology from when Zoo was like tier 0. So trust me on this one, it's good, guys. And then yeah, we can also Twin Twisters negate Tenki when they activate it too. So sometimes that's lit. All right, that's it for the main deck. Hope everything makes sense. A lot of the cards that I mentioned as being like really good text for this format are actually forbidden, thankfully. So like Flying Sea, like all the XYZ Encore, XYZ Universe, all that kind of stuff is pretty much all forbidden. So you don't have to run like weird decks. Like Shuffle Reborn is not particularly good, right? Because I mentioned that as being a card that could counter Flying Sea in this format. But obviously we don't have to counter Flying Sea because it's banned. Boom. I guess we should move on to the extra deck. It's a pretty standard Zoo lineup. We're just running the triple Tiger Mortar, triple Chakanine. Tiger Mortar being the reattaching Zoo, and this one being the special summoning from the Graveyard Zoo. And then, yeah, all the Zoo monsters share the same effect, right? That we can just special summon them with one Zoo monster with a different name. So, super easy to spam these guys out, get a ton of materials for like your Zeus or your Dryden or whatever you hope to summon. The only other thing I should mention with Chakanine is that when you special summon the card from the graveyard, it cannot be used as XYZ material. Whew, alright. But you can, like, in that play I already mentioned before, you can, like, pop Ram and then you can, like, get around that, because the card you summon off of Ram can be used as XYZ material. Oh, also the effect's negated until the end of the turn, right? And then, you can use it as XYZ material as soon as the effects come back online at the end of your turn as well. So, there's a bread and butter play, basically, where you are, just, like, using Chakanine to resummon Dryden, and Dryden just has the quick play effect of being able to pop a face-up card on the field, like as a quick effect, just by detaching material. So, we resummon our Dryden with Chakanine. Its effect's negated. It's obviously in defense, and then we can go into Tiger Mortar and then attach material to the Trident and have that pop live for our opponent's turn. So that's something we're doing quite often, and is what I would consider like the bread and butter mid-game combo. For the other zoos we run, Borbo is a super critical card to run in your extra deck. This card has the super important ability of being able to attack directly. None of the other effects particularly matter, but being able to attack directly, obviously, getting around big attack position monsters or monsters with like banish it if I battled, or any sort of wild stuff, is super clutch, right? Because if you guys don't know about Zeus, you have to battle with an XYZ monster. Or if an XYZ monster battled, so like if your opponent had an XYZ monster, you don't have to summon an XYZ monster to make Zeus, but if an XYZ monster battles, we can summon Zeus on top of whatever, on any XYZ. So Borbo is like our cheat code to always be able to battle, even in the big boards. And then Hammer Kong is pretty much used strictly as a material to detach. He's like by far the worst zoo. Yeah, Hammer Kong sucks. Just, we have to run him as like an extra name we can like slap under. Alright. And then we run one Drill Driver Vespinato. Just, essentially, we can turn our 0/0 zoos that we maybe, use their effects into a 2500 beat stick, which will oftentimes be our key to like ending the game. This card also does piercing battle damage, and then if it's destroyed by your opponent's card effect, you can special summon a level 5 or lower monster from your graveyard, which doesn't come up very often, but sometimes when it does, it's actually pretty sick, so don't forget about that effect. Alright. And then I mentioned Zeus before. If you guys don't know what Zeus does, you clearly haven't been playing Master Duel for very long. This card's completely broken. Just being able to detach 2 materials, not once per turn, not once per chain, detach 2 materials, and just send every other card on the field to the graveyard is completely insane, right? And for those of you who don't understand how that works, it sends, it doesn't destroy, so if your card can't be destroyed by cards, Zeus does not care. Zeus sends him directly to the graveyard. He's not destroying him. It doesn't make the shatter sound effect when you activate Zeus. It makes a whoa, because Zeus is like a god and he just sends stuff. He doesn't have to battle them. He doesn't destroy them. There's no violence with Zeus. It's just peace. He just attaches 2 materials and he just creates peace on the board. There's just nothing left. And then if your opponent chains, say you have a 4 material Zeus and your opponent chains a negation to your Zeus, you can chain Zeus to their negation as long as it's not Solemn Judgment, or Solemn Strike or something that's like a counter trap that we can't respond to, and then we can actually resolve Zeus, because Zeus is not once per chain or once per turn. And then this deck is really exceptional at making 4 material Zeus. It can make 5 material Zeus, but obviously you don't want to do that. You can make 4 material Zeus, and then yeah, you can wipe their board and then pass to them and have a board wipe for their turn. So, super sick card. Zeus is one of the main reasons we are even interested in running a deck like this. And then we run the F-Zero package, so I mentioned earlier. But essentially, this card is this card is just a, how do I say? It's just like a bridge to the card F-Zero, which is the card we're actually. They're both technically number F-Zero, but this is Utopic Draco Future. This one's obviously way better than this one. This one has an effect that's niche and comes up sometimes, where if it battles a monster, you can steal that monster and then make it battle your opponent's monster, but it goes back to them after it battles. It's not the best effect in the world, but there's niche situation in a Cosmo format where this was coming up, where because it didn't target, we could get over big ships that could not be targeted. Is this situation where I remember running this card without F-Zero, but now we can, and then you make it with just 2 XYZ monsters of the same rank. So our zoos are all pretty much going to do that for us. So yeah, we're not too stressed out finding a way to make this. And I mentioned the way you make it on turn 1 with that Thoroughblade Ram play. And then just to make F-Zero Draco Future, which is the card we actually are interested in making, we just slap. You can just slap this card right on top of F-Zero for no additional cost, which is super good. And then this card just essentially says can't be destroyed by battle or card effects, so it's pretty good. Obviously Zeus doesn't care. Zeus will still send it. That's what I mean by Zeus does not care. He's a god. And then if a monster effect is activated on the field, we can detach one XYZ material, and if the monster's if the monster effect is activated anywhere, we can attach a material and negate it, and negate and destroy it. Sorry, rather. And if it's on the field, wait, does it destroy if it's in hand? No, it just negates the activation. So if it's in the hand, it won't be destroyed or anything like that. But if it's on the field, we actually get to gain control of it. So that's super clutch. Draco Future is awesome. It's like our best turn 1 board. Really, I think this format is pretty pretty soft. I mean, on the like cap of how crazy the extra deck can really, or the not extra deck, but the extra deck is why it's capped, right? Because there's stuff like Herald of Ultimateness and Perfection also banned. The first turn boards are a lot more tame in this format than they have been in the past format. But I'm still very worried that there's stuff that I'm not thinking about in the format, which is why I'm including the droplet. But making an F-Zero is definitely a good turn 1 board in this format. You know, you might have some hand traps to back you up. Hopefully you do. Maybe my body is a shield, or a set Twin Twisters, a Called By, Maxi, and Nibiru. There's a few things in this deck that you can pair with your Draco Future turn 1 to give you a pretty good chance of just at least being able to compete with your opponent. Anyway, guys, this is what I'm running for the XYZ Festival right now. As with any deck, I'm sure it will evolve and change as the festival continues. I'm having a ton of fun. I'm really glad to see that Konami has added like rewards to make like players who play a ton of the game actually have a reason to continue playing. And I'm glad that they rewarded the players who made the high rank last season finally with the gems that they promised a long time ago. Anyway, it's been your boy Neosynthesis. Thank you guys for watching. And then real quickly before the video ends, I just want to say thanks for all the support that you guys have shown me over like the past month since I made my channel. We're a little bit over 100 subs. I'm not gonna do any like cheesy 100 sub video or any kind of thank you. This is what you guys are getting right here. But to everybody who's ever like left a comment or left a like on the video, you have my sincere thanks. I hope I can get better at making quality content for you guys, and I hope you guys will continue to support me as I get better and better at this. Anyway, I just wanted to say, thanks for everyone who's ever, watched the video, liked the video, subscribed, disliked the video to tell me it was bad, or left a comment to tell me that I'm stupid. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope we can continue this journey on, who knows how long, until Yu-Gi-Oh dies, which is never. So I'll see you guys next time.